Every single day, New York subway riders climb a combined 2 billion steps on stairways alone. Enough vertical distance to summit Mount Everest more than 200,000 times before sunset. That staircase climbing doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's fueled by the crowds pouring through turnstiles every morning. And that crowd is enormous. New York's subway system moves 3,300,000 riders on an average weekday. That's roughly the entire population of Berlin passing through the turnstiles in a single day, packed into rattling train cars underground. All those commuters need something to keep them upright before those 2 billion steps, and this city delivers it by the truckload. New Yorkers and the crowds that flow through the city put away 7 million cups of coffee every single day. Stack those cups rim to rim, and you'd outclimb One World Trade Center over 1,000 times before lunch. Once the caffeine kicks in, the city needs somewhere to send all these people vertically. And it's not just stairs doing the work. Elevators across the 5 boroughs rack up an estimated 35 million rides every single day. That's like the entire population of Canada stepping into an elevator once, together, before the sun goes down. All that vertical movement eventually spills back out onto the sidewalk, and nowhere gets more foot traffic than one blinking, chaotic intersection in Midtown. Times Square alone sees 360,000 pedestrians cross through it on a typical day. Picture 4 sold-out Super Bowl stadiums emptying their entire crowds into one intersection and having them all walk through at once. Compare that to some of the city's other big foot traffic draws, and it's not even close. All those wandering, hungry crowds have to eat something between subway rides and photo ops. And in this city, that usually means grabbing something on the go. New Yorkers and visitors go through 3 million slices of pizza in a single day. Laid edge to edge, that's enough slices to stretch the length of Manhattan several times over. And when the pizza craving takes a back seat, there's another cart on nearly every corner, ready to fill in the gap. Street vendors sell an estimated 100,000 hot dogs across the city every day, lined up end to end. That's enough hot dogs to cross the George Washington Bridge several times over, before the vendors even pack up their carts for the night. All that street food is just the appetizer for how this city spends its money and its time. Up on the Great White Way, the curtain rises on numbers just as big as any marquee. Broadway shows pull in about $3 million a day at the box office. That's like buying 100 brand-new Steinway grand pianos every single day, just from ticket stubs. Down at street level, the city's bagel shops are working just as hard. New Yorkers eat an estimated 1 million bagels a day. Pile them up, and you'd have a tower of bread taller than the Chrysler Building. Let's zoom out for a second and get our bearings. All of this, the piano's worth of Broadway cash, the bagel skyscraper. It's happening across just 300 square miles of New York City, one of the most densely packed stretches of land on the planet. And packed streets mean packed transportation. Yellow cabs alone log about 85,000 trips a day, which is like filling every seat in Yankee Stadium, then doing it again, just with people flagging down taxis. If 4 wheels aren't your style, 2 wheels might be. City bike riders take about 120,000 rides a day, the equivalent of Madison Square Garden emptying out and refilling 6 separate times before midnight. Speaking of places to be, there's one green rectangle in the middle of Manhattan that pulls in a crowd all its own. If you're enjoying this so far, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Central Park sees roughly 140,000 visitors a day, That's nearly the entire attendance of the Indianapolis 500, strolling through one park instead of watching cars go in circles. And plenty of those visitors aren't locals at all. The city welcomes about 135,000 tourists every single day, which is basically like the entire population of a city like Cambridge, Massachusetts, showing up to visit, then leaving again by nightfall. Not every New York story ends in celebration, though. Some end in paperwork. The city sees about 60 divorces filed a day, roughly enough people to fill 2 city buses, every one of them closing a chapter that day. But for every ending, there's a beginning happening somewhere else in the 5 boroughs. About 150 weddings are performed in New York every day, roughly enough couples to fill a mid-size off-Broadway theater with nothing but newlyweds. And while those newlyweds are toasting, somewhere else in the city, a much older relationship is quietly thriving in the shadows. New York's rat population isn't a daily number. It's a standing one, and it's staggering. Researchers estimate around 2 million rats call this city home, which works out to roughly 1 rat for every 4 people living here. Basically a shadow population the size of Houston's entire suburbs, just living in the walls and the subway tunnels. Rats aren't the only companions roaming the 5 boroughs, though. The 4-legged leash-wearing kind get their daily outing, too. Every day, an estimated 600,000 dogs get walked around New York's parks and sidewalks. Line them all up nose to tail, and you'd get a parade of dogs stretching from Times Square all the way out to Coney Island. As the sun goes down on all that dog walking, the city has to light itself back up, block by block. Every single night, New York switches on 315,000 streetlights. That's like lighting a candle for every seat in 10 Madison Square Gardens combined, just so the sidewalks stay safe to walk. Keeping those same streets in one piece is a whole other daily grind. Every day, city crews patch about 700 potholes across the 5 boroughs. Enough repairs, laid end to end, to fill a line of craters stretching several city blocks. I wonder how many potholes get patched where you live every day. Take a guess and let us know where you're from in the comments. All that street work happens alongside an even bigger daily cleanup operation. Every day, 2,000 garbage trucks roll out across the city. And if you lined up that entire fleet bumper to bumper, it would stretch over 10 miles long. And speaking of things the city can't control, let's talk about the sky. Because on an average rainy day, New York isn't just getting wet, it's getting absolutely drenched. On a typical rainy day, roughly 7 billion gallons of water fall on New York City. That's something like 10,000 Olympic pools worth of water, delivered in a single afternoon, running off roofs and streets and straight into the sewers. Water falling from the sky is one kind of overwhelming number. But the numbers moving through Wall Street every day are on an entirely different scale of overwhelming. On an average trading day, about 4 billion shares change hands on the New York Stock Exchange alone. A volume of transactions so large, it's like every single person on Earth trading half a share, all in the same 24 hours. From the trading floor to something a little more personal. All that hustle still leaves New Yorkers needing to look sharp. Across the 5 boroughs, barbershops and salons crank out about 50,000 haircuts every single day. That's like giving a fresh trim to everyone inside Barclays Center, twice over, before the day is done. Speaking of things the city grows without even trying, New York's street trees are quietly doing their own heavy lifting. Those roughly 700,000 street trees pull an estimated 4 million gallons of water out of the ground every single day. just breathing it out through their leaves. That's something like 6 Olympic-sized water towers worth of water, vanishing into the air over Manhattan and beyond, one leaf at a time. Of course, not everything the city hands out is welcome. Ask anyone who's found a slip of paper on their windshield. The NYPD and Department of Finance issue around 25,000 parking tickets a day. Stack every one of those citations together, and you'd have a pile roughly as tall as a 5-story walk-up. After a ticket like that, a little comfort food never hurts. And New York has a signature dessert for exactly that mood. Bakeries and diners across the city move about 40,000 slices of New York cheesecake every day. By weight, that's enough dense, creamy cheesecake to match 3 full-grown elephants. From dessert to the harbor, because plenty of New Yorkers get their daily commute with a side of open water and a skyline view. The Staten Island Ferry carries about 70,000 riders across the harbor and back each day. That's like emptying an entire sold-out Barclays Center crowd onto boats, shipping them across the water, and doing it again in reverse every single day. Not every ferry ride ends at a turnstile, though. Some end at a marble staircase leading into one of the greatest art collections on Earth. Between the Met and MoMA alone, roughly 25,000 visitors pass through the doors daily, enough to fill a mid-size Broadway theater's audience 15 times over before the lights even dim for an evening show. And after a day of culture, or trading, or getting a haircut, or eating cheesecake, a lot of New Yorkers wind up exactly where you'd expect, at a bar. The city's bars and restaurants pour out an estimated 2 million alcoholic drinks every single day. Enough liquid to fill a backyard swimming pool nearly a dozen times over before closing time even rolls around. That's New York City in one wild day. And honestly, we've barely scratched the surface. If this kind of number-crunching messes with your head in a good way, do us a favor and hit that like button. And think about subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss the next one. So what city or place do you want us to break down next? Drop it in the comments, and we might just make it happen.